And we're back. Apologies for the technical issue, but I'm sure you're well used to it by now. So pit stop for Shakes under action right now. Shakes has stopped off those medium tyres. They did look like they were starting to wear. I was just commenting on that before we lost the stream. Shakes down into P6 at the moment. He's going to come out on hard tyres and hope to get himself out and comfortable ahead of Amir. Let's see how that compares. Well, Shakes isn't going to be comfortable. Amir on the warm and pre-worn hard tyres. Shakes might do well here just to let Amir go and follow in his wheel tracks, gain the DRS as he warms up the car, but he's managing to hold on to track position in P6 there as they get back up to something like racing speed, although it won't be quite where he was hoping for. Amir versus Shakes then. Amir in 7th, Shakes in 6th, having pitted. Amir not pitted yet, 14 laps deep as he is in his hard tyre starting stint. Well, Uzi still holds on. In fact, he's got a 7.5 second lead ahead of Smerts. And I was saying in the qualifying that Uzi will be eyeing up starting to vie for a top result here in the races now that his brother has moved on and been promoted. Well, Amir is one of the brothers too, but Uzi may actually be on to start this season with a win. That would be an absolute dream start for him. Well, pit stops for Avalak and for Nick Gishen underway. Now, who gets the overcut or the undercut? I think that Shakes will manage to that Nick might be able to hold on here because the warm-up period for the hard tyres is so much more difficult. Nick Gishen comes out of the pits. He is actually behind. There he is, just behind Amir. So he's lost out significantly to Shakes. Shakes managing to get some temperature into those tyres, and Salzmeister has actually made it up to P3 without pitting so far off the mediums. The window will be open for the hard starters to move on to mediums now with the reduced fuel load in the second half of the race. Should be comfortable. They'll be looking for an opportunity and a clear gap to slot into, be asking their engineers where will they come out of the pits, which position will they come out in, is it a good idea or not? Well, could well be for the top two at least, but also want to leave open the opportunity here for a safety car pit stop. Well, safety car is on reduced though here, so less likely perhaps. We still have 15 runners from our 15 starters, although Top Gun doesn't appear to be in the car, so won't be credited with the finishing position. There is Salzmeister, the last of the medium runners on the lead lap at least to pit, and Amir nicely in control of the car. He's got fresh tyre Nick Gishen behind him, who will be slow for a little bit here, into half a second the gap between Nick Gishen and Amir, but Nick Gishen has lost a huge amount of time actually when you start looking at it, that he and Shakes were nose to tail before the pit stop, and now the gap is 4.6 seconds between Shakes and Nick Gishen. That is a big loss. Here he goes, Nick Gishen trying to get to disturb the line of Amir, who gives it up actually, and indicates that he's losing time, so better to give the place to Nick and try and follow him through. There goes the 3-second penalty for Stoffel, trying to make sure that our whole grid has equal penalties if he can. Uzi in the lead by 8.2 seconds still on lap 18. Hasn't pitted yet, the top two. Uzi from Smerts. Shakes has pulled himself up to 3rd place with having pitted, and he is 23 seconds away from 2nd place. But I fancy Shakes to get that 2nd place come the end of the race, because his tyres will have a little bit more life in them. So that is the gamble that the hard starters are all working on at the moment. How many laps do they want to run the medium tyre for versus how much time are they losing right now relative to drivers who have stopped? Diminishing returns the longer you leave it. Let's see Stoffel versus Midas for P9 at the moment. Midas in the Mercedes, as I say, debuting with us here in race 1 of season 9. DRS is open, a little bit of a weave there from Stoffel, nothing in the braking zone though, and only a single movement, so no problems there in terms of driving. But Midas not quite close enough. He'll have to consolidate this gain and try and make the most of the next time they go round. They are on equal tyres though, and trying to tread gingerly on them. Don't want to take too much life out of them, as Pampern on a different strategy. Remember, he started on the soft tyres, might be trying to do a very long stint on the hards. He might though decide to cut his losses and go on to mediums for the end if we get a safety car, or a virtual safety car at least. He may decide to change strategy. But a yellow flag for one of the Alfa Romeos. That's Bert struggling, and I think he might have had that same issue coming out of turn 3 earlier on in the race, and he's stranded at the moment. Just getting back, might be in the way of our race leader, Uzi. Oh dear, they do look close on that track map, but it looks like Bert's has managed to get out of the way. Uzi, that's the kind of thing that can trip up a race leader. Nick Gishin, fastest lap so far at 1:19.826, as we have passed the halfway point, waiting for the hard runners to pit for their only pit stop, I imagine. Amir has lost a place to Avalak as well. He's going slower at the moment, and you've got to wonder whether his pace is just too slow, really, to justify staying on these tyres. Get onto those mediums and see the race out if you can. They're all the hard starters have yet to pit, so they obviously don't have a huge amount of confidence in the longevity of the medium tyres. But other drivers made it work until laps 16, 17, and with fewer than that left to go on lighter fuel loads, you've got to imagine that it makes sense to strap a pair of yellow banded medium tyres on. Not a pair even. A pair would be a stupid thing to do. A full set of yellow banded medium tyres on. Salzmeister has caught Amir now. He's the next one lining up. So Amir yet to pit. I wonder if he will elect to go in now. He's peeling across slightly to the side. There he goes into the pits, and has decided that now is the better time to go in. So loses another place to Salzmeister, but will get the medium tyres on and start to feel some better speed. Yellow flag, a full course yellow. In fact, a safety car, as the Aston Martin safety car comes out. I didn't catch exactly who that was for. Cars all seem to be running, so there must be debris on the track somewhere. And Bertz has picked up a drive-through penalty for speeding under that self-same safety car, unfortunately. Like I say, this is the kind of thing that can undo Uzi's big advantage. Well, certainly will undo it, but he will get the opportunity to pit and hold track position. It looks like Shakes isn't going to be able to gain that much time here. They'll be driving to a delta on this one, so this just throws a little bit of a spanner in the works. Uzi's in the pits. He'll be hoping that Smertz pits too as he rounds the final corner. Looks like he is on his way into the pit lane. So Uzi in, Smertz in, and Shakes is just coming out of turn 11. So those two will be comfortably out at safety car delta speed. They'll be comfortably out in front of Shakes. They will hold track position. They'll be on medium tyres, so better tyres, especially after a restart. And I wonder if any of the hard runners at the moment would be tempted, particularly, who am I thinking of? Pampern. He's gone on to mediums very sensibly. He ran soft, hard, medium as his strategy. A couple of drivers just considering their options. Here is Jacques. He fancies mediums to the end as well. Everyone in front of him on softs, but ultimately he might feel like with a 16.9 second gap he has a free pit stop in hand over Amir. Amir just stopping during that safety car. Well, he was already in the pit lane when the safety car was called. With all of the runners still running, I don't think I've seen a safety car on reduced frequency come out when we haven't had a retirement on track. Very, very strange for me. I know we saw Bertz have a problem coming out of turn 3 shortly before. If he left the front wing or part of a car across the track there, that would have been great. That wouldn't have been super. I wonder if Umair, who says it's not what Uzi needs, I wonder if Umair knows why the safety car was called. It's confusing me slightly. But I think Uzi has got that underlying pace. If he can deal with it, make a good restart, and he'll have, I'm assuming his elder brother Umair in his ear telling him where to restart this one. If he can get a good restart, I think he still has the underlying pace to secure this first race win with us. Quick check on the penalty situation. Everyone with a 3-second time penalty apart from Burt's, and has to serve that drive through after the safety car has been released. And Umair says he's got the pace, but he also has the nerves. Well, that is half the battle of winning a race, is battling your own, sometimes your own biochemistry that is betraying you constantly as the laps tick down. So in terms of positions change, it's been really strong for Salzmeister, up 9 places. Amir reserve driving from Division 3 with us here in P7. And not only that, but it will really help his preparation for tomorrow's Division 3 race. What's Shakes and Nick Gishan up to? Just crossing over and getting a little bit side by side there, just tricking the timing screens. So those two drivers, Salzmeister and Amir, have moved up tremendously. Amir was slow in the last couple of laps, the previous couple of laps before the safety car. And now Shakes has got himself a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags. Now, wow, that is out of character to say the least, and problematic for Shakes. That adds up to 3 seconds of penalty, unfortunately. So Umair won't be racing tomorrow, unfortunately. That's right. I can see why he was so keen to join us tonight then, in that case. Unfortunately for him, this won't count as points for tomorrow's race, will it? But good experience nonetheless. Good to see another Osman. How many more Osman drivers do we have? Will we have Fahim take to the cockpit in one of our races at some point? Is Fahim watching with us? That's the big question, I suppose. But Uzi leads this race. We're waiting for the safety car to confirm whether it's coming on or not. The lights are still on that safety car. Uzi keen to get underway, but every lap he does under the safety car gives him fewer laps to see this race out. There we go, confirmation, safety car will come in this lap, and it will be up to Uzi to become the safety car and dictate the pace of the race, allow the safety car to pull on into the pits. He's not slowing too drastically, he needs to make sure he's got tyre temperature. If he keeps a constant speed, that will hamper the hard runners from getting their tyre temperature up, so that is possibly a tactic. He's waiting before releasing the car. I think he's done that already, and Shakes has turned the car around. It is becoming quite an issue here for Shakes. Hard tyres on the restart. A massively unsafe rejoin there, relying on the ghosting factor, and he drops down to the tail of the field of actual drivers in their cockpits, at least, with Top Gun ghosted. Here, Burtz loses out to Arno. Salzmeister was fighting very, very hard there with Amir and Avalak. Amir on the lead of this group of medium runners. He did manage to get that free pit stop in the end. Smertz holding on to the advantage with Uzi, and have just gapped Nick Gishan like he wasn't there. Nick Gishan in 3rd place has dropped 3 seconds on this half a restart lap. Incredible stuff from Uzi and Smertz. I'm sure that's something to do with the hard tyres, but also good tyre preparation. Uzi needs to get himself away from Smertz here, who many drivers fancied for a strong podium. Many of our driving audience fancied for a strong result here from Smertz, but it is Uzi and Smertz at the front of this race. Just starting to ease that gap out now is Uzi. Doesn't want to go too hard, too fast here. But he does need to stamp his authority and get himself that 1 second gap before the DRS is re-enabled. There he is, out to 0.8 of a second. Most of the work done already for that project. And Salzmeister is hounding Avalak here, who's currently in 4th place, 8 laps into his hard tyre final stint, if at all possible. We have 12 laps to go. Including the one that they are on at the moment. A yellow flag in Sector 1, and that's a retirement. That's Midas retiring, and that's a second safety car, this time for a good reason, it seems. But Midas is out and has had a problem going through turn 2. So another safety car Uzi will be raging, I imagine, that. But safety cars do breed safety cars. Now, what do the hard runners do here? I imagine they will double down on their strategy because they'll just lose all the track position if they do anything. Shakes has gone in and has put soft tyres on for an 11-lap stint. Obviously, this safety car will help him elongate the stint, but man, some drivers were struggling after sort of 5 or 6 laps on the soft tyres earlier on from the start of the race. Obviously, lighter fuel loads and more grip on the racetrack in the later stages. There's a driver at the front of our field heading on into the pits. That's Nick Gishin, who's gone in off the hard tyres, and Avalak too. So Amir, whisper it, could it be possible for a double Osman podium here tonight with Amir from Division 3, one of the Osmans, who has managed to pull himself into 3rd place despite dropping several places earlier on due to being on old hard tyres before the first safety car. After the second safety car, finds himself in 3rd. I'm sure that everyone will, that the Osmans that are watching with us will be telling every other Osman to tune in and to pile on the pressure on Uzi and Amir. But 1st and 3rd at the moment, that's quite something. I imagine that Amir would be contributing points for his regular team, which should be McLaren. I'll have to get confirmation on that as to whether a Division 3 reserve driver contributes points for their regular team. Second safety car then at the lap 24-25 period, following the retirement this time of Midas. Unfortunately, he showed very strongly with some good pace, but an issue coming through turn 2 after the restart has done for his race, and we will just resettle. We'll have a minimum of 2 laps under the safety car. Hope you're enjoying today's race with us. If you are, make sure that you've subscribed to the channel and you've liked the video. Well, maybe liked all the videos that we've been producing tonight so far. If you like the commentary, you can find me at WebORed5 on Twitter and YouTube, and obviously I'm in the Discord server if you are too, for FTR. So lap 26 begins, the safety car continues. No further pit stops, although we've got Nick Gishin, Salzmeister, Chums, Arnu and Shakes all on soft tyres. Shakes is back in the pits again. Is he now going on to a new set of mediums perhaps? Or is he in fact retiring? Let's have a look what Shakes up to. It's a new set of softs. So he's going to drop all the way to the tail of the field, not including the lapped Top Gun Ghost, but I'm mightily confused as to why we had that first safety car still. So Shakes out on a new set of soft tyres. Uzi waiting to get this race back underway. His brother, or at least relation, his brother is watching Umer. Relation Amir is driving and has got himself up to P3. Smertz finds himself sandwiched between the two of them. They're all on the same strategy as well. The top 5 all started on hards and are now on the medium tyres. That has worked out very well for them. Timing the safety car as well, working very nicely. And we wait to see if the safety car will come in at the end of this lap and give us 9 racing laps. Yes, it might even be 8 racing laps if I can do my maths properly. The safety car will come in. Uzi, of course, he's done this once and Smertz went with him. Uzi waiting to go here. Will he have a nice smooth exit of turn 13 and go for it? It is often a problem for the drivers if they do it at the apex of 14. So if you're going to do it, either do it now or do it down the start-finish straight. But there he goes then. I think that's a launch from Uzi, leaving a little bit of margin on the apex. For the restart we go. It is Uzi, Smerts and Armia with Jacques defending from Stoffel down into turn 1. But Jacques managing to get the better out of the exit of the final corner. That is just the Aston Martin moving out of the way. That's Top Gun's Ghost getting out of the way as they head on through turn 1 and 2. It is the order: Uzi, Smerts, Armia, Jacques, Stoffel, Avalax, Saltzmeister, Nick Gish and Bertz and Chums the top 10, followed by Arno, Pampern and Shakes at the rear of the field. Shakes hoping to gain places and get into the points at least before the end of the race, although I think he's wearing at least 3 seconds of penalties. I imagine he's just paid his 5-second penalty off for free under the safety car. Shouldn't really be allowed, should it? Let's just check out the penalty situation while we're talking about it. Yeah, Shakes back down to a 3-second penalty now. So he'll still have to overtake 2 cars in front before he gets to anybody close with the same penalty. Uzi then in P1 has opened up a gap of 1.4 seconds. Jacques following Armia for 3rd place. Armia also pulling out a bit of a comfortable gap here and extending that gap. There is a new fastest lap from Uzi, just making sure everybody knows that he's got pace in hand. Saltzmeister will have Nick Gishen breathing down his neck, breathing down his diffuser as the Red Bulls go for formation flying and swap over. Looks like a wide move there. Wide defence from Saltzmeister left a little bit of room at the apex. I'm not quite sure it was a full half's width, as there was a tiny bit of contact and Nick Gishen had to bail out of it. Saltzmeister with all his attention on Stoffel in front, hoping to get in front here. Stoffel releasing Avalac, who's on the younger medium tyres of the 2 Red Bulls, and they almost come to blows once again. Round the outside of turn 5 goes Nick Gishen round Saltzmeister, and that worked out nicely. I thought we were going to have further contact and someone spat off into the gravel out there, but it worked out. It's lap 28. And Nick Gishen got ahead of Saltzmeister going around the outside of turn 5. It's not every day you see a move there. And there is Arno having a problem in the middle sector. His Haas very slow. And next up we've got Bertz versus Chums going on into turn 12 again. It's perhaps one of the least favoured positions to make an overtake, and that's Shakes trying to follow through on the soft tyres against the hard tyre shod Bertz. This is difficult situation then for Bertz as Shakes gets up the inside. Bertz might have been trying to get the DRS there, but it's not been re-enabled just yet, and Shakes from, what was it, 13th? In comes Pampern against Bertz. Pampern moves forward as well, so Bertz just can't defend on these cold, old, hard tyres that he's struggling after the restart on, trying to double down on that strategy. The only driver really out there, still in his car at least, that's trying to make use of those hard tyres. Jacques is in 4th place on the back of Armia, just 3/4 of a second behind Armia, and trying to deny the Osman boys of a double podium. Uzi leads this race by 1.5 seconds. His lead at one point was over 8 seconds. So these 2 safety cars have hurt his progress somewhat. Smertz staying with him, keeping the pressure on. Uzi, he can't even risk track limits here. I don't know how many warnings he's on, but he's if he had a single penalty, he would lose that that race win relative to Smertz. So speaking of which, here comes Avalac against Jacques. Avalac with the DRS gets up the inside, has to complete the move under braking for the next corner, and Jacques offline gets all kinds of dirty air on that front wing and a lack of rear grip as well coming out of the corner on a unusual part of the racetrack for him. Offline, spins to the inside, just a half a spin, and loses places down to 11th. So Armia, he has a 3-second penalty, but I think so does everybody else behind him.